Hey everyone and welcome to Mash Hacks. My name is Ben and today we're going to be transferring beer from our all-rounder fermenter under pressure through a bouncer filter like this. And I've got the hardware to create everything. I've got a big ass amount of pipe that I'm gonna, or tubing, I'm gonna be connecting everything together with. And effectively we're going to go from fermenter out through a floaty stainless steel ball, through a bouncer filter into a keg, and then hopefully there will be no issues. So I've got to build it all, put it all together. Come with me, let's do this. Cheers. This is a bouncer filter. It's US made. I can't remember if it's got any other names. I bought it from Hoppy Days up in Brizzy. And what it's got is effectively, it's like a water filter really, that whole inlet outlet. But all it's got in its filter cartridge area is a mesh filter. Now this mesh filter is just there to catch mainly hop particulate is the key thing I don't want in the keg, because if you get hops in the keg, it can clog up the poppets of the keg or the posts of the keg, and you're just stuck because your beer won't flow. And it's insanely frustrating when that happens. Trust me. So we have a 1/2 inch threaded fitting up here. We have a 1/2 inch barb, and it's just not convenient to push beer through that sizing. It's convenient on the brewing side when you've got, when everything else is a 1/2 inch barb, but on the beer side, most things are using the duo-tight connectors and some thin beer lines. So what we need is an adapter for this guy. So I purchased these adapters from Grain and Grape here in Melbourne. And what it is, it's effectively 2 pieces. So we're stepping down using the black piece from 1/2 inch to 3/8. And then we've got a 3/8 duo-tight basically adapter, which should fit my beer line. And that goes in there. And all of this screws together neatly like so. Then we've got a thing, and that guy goes in there. So these are NPT threads, US style threads. I may need to put some thread tape on here, but we'll figure that out as we go. Fits snugly in there, and then we can push beer through here. Now none of this is going to be under intense pressure. But we might get a few little leaks. We'll see how we go, and I'll probably do that. Fix them up after the fact if we've got any leaks. But yeah, now I'm just going to put the other side on as well. So next I'll just quickly show you how I'm going to assemble my fittings. The same thread on one end and the duo-tight fitting for the tubing on the other end. Now these guys don't need tape. They don't need much other than a quick tighten. Now you will want to tighten just a bit tighter than finger tight using a wrench, but don't overdo it because these are plastic and they can break. This is probably just a quick aside. Many people probably already know this, but you've obviously got black for liquid, gray for gas. One interesting thing is that the difference between a liquid and a gas post is just a tiny extension of one of the shelves on the actual post itself. There's no real need to have that difference. Posts exist which can accept both gas and liquid disconnects, and that's what I've got for the carb cap that are on top of the fermenter. So those carb caps can accept a gas or a liquid post, and that's perfect because sometimes I'm going to be pushing, sometimes I'm going to be pulling, and it's easier to have them accept both types. I've got tons of tubing, so let's start cutting some tube. All right, first one. This is designed to be the gas line. It's going to be just over 1.5 meters. So one side is going to go into the check valve from my gas canister, and the other side is going to go into the gas fitting. You just push it straight into the fitting. Goes in nice and tight, and boom, there we go. Next tubing to cut is for liquid post to the filter and filter to the other liquid post. So I'm going to give myself Probably roughly the same lengths again, so about 1.5 meters per line. I've got plenty of tube, and I just don't want to undersize myself and get stuck. So let's do that. What? Connector in, connector in, all the way. Now we've got ourselves a filter good to go. We've got the connections for the gas, we have the connections for the filter. We should be able to get it straight into the keg. I've got a spare keg. I'm going to do a quick test run of all this kind of stuff. So I'll probably get a little bit of Star Sand water, so some sanitizer, basically run some sanitizer through it. And just to check that we don't have leaks or anything dodgy like that. So let's go get that set up. This guy here, beer-line cleaner, you may have noticed from a previous episode. I've actually split it. I dropped it and split the plastic on the bottom. So it's going to leak a fair bit, but that's okay. We should be able to get going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the beer-line cleaner, through the filter, and into the keg and see if that works. Now, to get it into the keg, I'm also just going to lift the relief valve and keep it propped up so it's constantly open. But let's give this a go. Okay, so we got the liquid post on the keg, the liquid post on the cleaner. There we go. Now, let's see if this works. And into the kegs. Now you can see already we've got a couple of leaks here on our filter. Now what I'm going to do is thread tape up some of these leaks. By the way, in case I haven't shown you, to remove the fittings, this little plastic piece here you push in, then you can pull the tube out. So I'm going to do that here, push in, pull tube out. There we go, separated as well. Just going to do 2 turns for a fitting of this size. Again, a couple rotations or a couple of turns is all you need. Oh, I'm going to change out this filter now. Okay, coarser filter, finer filter. I see 0 leaks, knock on wood. Let's purge the keg and get this all hooked up to the fermenter. Welcome back to the world's darkest room. Now, for obvious reasons, this is going to be the last time I do this kind of stuff in here. Now, A, because it's too dark, B, because of all the water, I've actually got a bunch of fresh brewing towels. Oh yeah, ready to protect the carpet, because this was a dumb idea to do over carpet. Now, nonetheless, let's have a quick run at what we're going to do here. Basically, I've got the glycol chiller at the back, brought in my gas canister or my gas cylinder with the check valve here. So that's what I'm going to be connecting my my gas line to. Now we're going to run gas into the fermenter, then we're going to run from the fermenter into the filter, then from the filter into the keg. Now, first things first though, I need to purge the keg with some CO2. So I'm going to get set up with some towels, I'm going to get set up with my gas, and let's do that. There's actually, if you're of the no or the low O2 school of trying to minimize oxygen as absolutely much as you can, then what you should be doing is actually filling this guy up with some Star San solution and pushing all of the Star San out using gas. And that way you 100% know there's nothing but CO2 in the keg. Now, I'm indoors and I don't have a practical way to get rid of that much water, so I'm not going to do that. And B, don't really feel like doing that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to purge the keg by attaching some gas and pulling on the pressure relief to try and remove as much of the oxygen from the keg as I can. Now, I've heard something along the lines of you need 6 times as much volume of CO2 as you do the volume of the container to fully purge the keg. I'm just going to give it a few goes. I'm not particularly worried about the shelf life of this beer. A, it's going to get drunk pretty quickly. B, it's been neglected already. This has been sitting here for like a month. No dry hop. You know, I've chilled it and unchilled it a bunch of times. I've treated it badly, so I'm not too worried about shelf life. So I'm not too worried about tiny bit of oxidation. Having said that, this is all a test. So I'm just going to roughly purge this keg and then I'm going to try and pressurize the fermenter. But let's purge the keg first. Okay, so get gas on the gas side. Check we're on the gas side. Nope, that was done. There's the gas side. Set this to effectively serving pressure, so 100 kPa for me. Okay, so you can hear it filling the container with gas. And on that last one, I don't want to fill it completely up with gas again because I actually need to now purge this or let the pressure down because I'm just going to be lifting and rotating the pressure relief valve anyway so that as the beer comes in, it can push the gas out. Now, whether I burp it or I leave it open, we'll see. This is the first time I've done it, so we'll find that out. So next, we have purged the keg now with CO2, so that's sitting there good to go. Next, I need to test the pressurization of my fermenter. Haven't tried that yet, have not hooked gas up to it before. Let's see if it even holds pressure. Now again, I'm at serving pressure, 100 kPa, so we'll see if it can stand up to that. Let's get the gas hooked up to the fermenter and see if she holds. Oh, by the way, these are those posts that have been manufactured so that they can fit either a gas or a liquid post, a liquid disconnect on top of them. So we'll just be gentle to start. Okay, the answer is no. That very quickly lost all of its pressure, I think, out of this connection here. So I'm going to grab my wrench and I'm going to check to make sure that this is seated properly. Okay, so what I've done is this particular carb cap here, he wasn't tight enough. This one appears to be, but I might give him a quick turn on the wrench as well. Now, like I was saying before, these are stainless steel, but they're on plastic threads. So I want to be very careful not to overdo it. Okay, go ahead and put our gas again on this side, see what happens. Okay, no, we're getting leakage somewhere. Oh, that one's not even that tight yet. Oh, that's better. I'm going to do the Star San test here. Spray it all with Star San to see if we can get some bubbles to form. Oh, there it is. Duotype. In there. See those bubbles? There's our leak. It's now appears to be holding 100 kPa pressure. Yep. And all we have to do is tighten this fitting, tighten this fitting, tighten the fitting at the back, and tighten all the fittings effectively. We're going to now attach the liquid to the fermenter. It's going to come out of the stainless steel ball, which you can see, gonna floating in there. Let's see if we can clear that up. There's our stainless steel ball with a floaty little, well, that's a floaty stainless steel ball with a little tube directly underneath it. So it's going to suck the beer from the top of the beer line, or top of the beer level. So it's going to pull it out top to bottom. It's going to pump it out. Here, we're at 100 kPa. I might, well, we'll see if that's too quick. It's serving pressure, so it should be all right. It's going to come through this filter, which I will try and stand up in a minute. And it's going to go into the keg. Now we should hit equilibrium because I'm going to leave the pressure relief closed for now to try and build up some pressure and slow the rate. But I mean, fingers crossed. Here we go. All right, beer immediately. Whew. Bam. Oh man, that happened quicker than I could do. So it's already through there and it's already making its way into the keg. I'm getting a little drip, a little bit of a leak. Somewhere in here, I felt a drip, but for the most part, she's holding together. I'm gonna put her down. All right, you can hear the gas pushing everything. You can see the line of the beer is going down. Woo, it's just happening quickly. All right, now I've got the thing closed, so it should hopefully slow as we go, as it reaches equilibrium. I think it may have done that already, or be close. Okay, so we have gas coming through all the way around into the right-hand side of the fermenter. On the left-hand side of the fermenter, we have the beer coming out from the top of the beer line, going down through our filter and into the keg. It is going down. There's our floaty ball. Look at him go. Ah, floaty ball is sucking in air. And that's not good. Okay, gas removed. I don't know if you can see this, but floaty ball has failed me. I need to tip it so that that inlet goes underneath the floaty ball, not on top. And it should sink by itself. I don't know why it's tipping over like that. I have no idea what I'm gonna do, so I'll be back in a minute. But rather than me tinker without footage, let's record it and see what I do. Because I still don't know why it's done it this way. It's really difficult to maneuver at the moment. I've still got the coolant going through. That's all right. I think it's all clamped up, so that should be okay. Now this bloody thing, I might be able to try and push it down, but I just don't know why it's done that. Need a long length of pokey something. Now I've pushed it under. I think I'm gonna go slower this time. I've used this tube, I've pushed the inlet underneath. Ugh, what a pain. All right. It appears to be somewhat in the correct position now. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this fixed. All right. Completely remove the pressure from the keg. I'm going to hook up the beer line to the beer line and hook up the beer line to the thing here. It's the tiniest amount of pressure going now. And up it comes. It's going in. I am not pressurizing it here. I'm hoping maybe that by keeping the pressure off on the keg, we can keep that thing underneath the beer line at least as long as we can get the majority of the beer out of this bloody fermenter. All right. It's flowing. It's flowing at really low pressure. In fact, I'm just gonna top that back up to 10. There we go, a bit more movement. We are barely pushing. One potential problem, I was a bit heavy on the gas pressure when I did it initially. I'm going to start out next time as well with a bit of a slower as she goes. Now, I think the other problem here is just logistics of the pipe or the tube inside the fermenter. I think the way it was kind of negotiated, it forced the inlet up rather than being stretched out all the way so the pipe was all horizontal. I think it went down and up, and as soon as the inlet went above the beer line, you were screwed. Ah, crap, it's just done it again. Look, there it is. There it is right there. And pull off pressure. That is a massive pain in my ass. What I've done, what I had originally, is because the stainless steel coil from here to here takes up the majority of the space when you're putting the lid or the whole mechanism down into the beer. I ran the tube down through the coil, out the bottom. Down this tube here, I ran it down through the middle of the coil, and then out the bottom, and then it stuck back up like this. Now I think what's happened is it's kind of just gotten stuck pointing upwards, and because it's not able to move freely, it just kind of pointed straight up. So what I've done now is figured out that yes, it can actually fit just, and I mean just, to the side of the coil. So it's connected to this guy. He's just out the side, and you can kind of squish it through with the coil. But once the coil is all the way in, there's enough clearance up here that it doesn't pinch or do anything like that. It can go straight in. So now the tube is free to move around the outside, and I'm hoping to Christ that it is now going to stay below the beer line, because I tell you what, if you were trying to not introduce oxygen, I just introduced a whole bunch. So, round 3. There you can see. Sorry about the focus. The beer is in fact flowing. You can hear it. You can see from the keg that we're filled to roughly here at the moment. Again, not sure of volumes, wasn't really paying attention to all that stuff, really just wanted to get a beer in this thing. Wouldn't call it a sacrificial beer, but it's certainly not one I care particularly about. Just to check that everything would work and learn some lessons along the way, and boy have we learned some lessons today. Oh, here we go, there's some crap. All right, we're getting crap through. You can see it running through there, but not running through this side. So he's going to clog that filter real soon, I reckon. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting some hazies coming in this side. So I'm actually just going to kick the gas off. It's pushing some air through. I'm going to close the disconnect there. I just closed this guy. And since it's pushing a bunch of air through the thing, I'm going to remove that. The stainless steel ball is now resting on the yeast layer, which you can see there. And so our inlet is now above the water line, and that's why it was sucking in a bunch of gas. So actually, to be fair, it was probably sucking in air rather than crap. So that's nice. Okay, so a quick post-mortem. We've got about 3 liters of fermenter loss at the bottom of this. It's okay. It's something I'm going to live with and adjust for in future. I think that's totally fine. You just need to know it exists. The line needed to be outside of the coil, so that's a very important point for anyone wanting to set this up in the future. I thought I might have needed to add a little bit more weight to that inlet, and I still think I might, just to keep it well and truly below the bauble, the stainless steel ball. I feel like it's just a little too easy for it to float up. Next is the lid. Be careful not to tighten that lid down too much. It's a pain in the ass to get undone again if it's too tight. I had to tighten all my fittings on top as they were leaking a little bit of gas at the beginning, but once I tightened them down with about a half turn of the wrench, or a full revolution for some, but tighten them down with a wrench, not too hard because again it's plastic threads, but
tightened it down with a wrench, and that sealed up fully, and that's quite good and happy. It's the correct temperature, at least. The whole time that beer stayed at just above 0 degrees. So the glycol chiller side of things seems to be working well. I think I just need some better fittings for the front barbs and the top of this temp twister here, the stainless steel. You can get duo-tight fittings for those, and I might investigate that in the future. As far as filling up the keg and whether or not to open or close this guy, I think I'm going to leave it open for now. With the positive pressure coming from the fermenter, it should always be pushing the gas out. I might try keeping it closed and burping it sometimes, but I think the key to this is to go slow to start with, especially. Get your gas on really low pressure. I was only on like 10 kPa to begin with, just to get it all flowing. And then I had a comfortable flow at about 50 kPa. So I think that was nice. The bouncer filter, no leaks. So that has worked really well. And now I can get this guy in the fridge and carved up, and we'll see if we've got an edible beer or a drinkable beer after all this. Whew, that was a pain in the ass, but we got there in the end. Basically, I'm going to leave this video there. We've had a crack at it. I think the next time I do it, we'll have a much better experience. I'm going to go lie down because my back is killing me. I'm going to show you the beer that was fermented, and then once it's carved and I can pour it as part of a whole brew day video, which I did during quarantine here. But until next time, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good one. Cheers.